So, I'm coming to the end of my 60th year. In 3 weeks from now I'll be 61. But it feels like the last 18 months have been quite tumultuous, and the whole experience feels a bit kind of 360-ish rather than 60-ish, partially because we've moved back to the area of North London that I grew up in, so it feels like, you know, I've really done a circle. So why not time to sit and reflect on that circle and think about it, and think about all of the things that I've learned, and all the places I've been and seen, and things I've done, for my own memory, if nothing else. And if you are entertained by it and you want to join me on the journey, then you are absolutely more than welcome to like me or even dislike me. Follow me, subscribe, whatever the terminology is these days. It would be lovely to see you for the beginning, the middle and the end, whenever they might be. But this one is actually the start of the end, because I'm sitting here in a nice flat, like I say, in the area that I grew up in. And we bought this flat at the end of the last 18 months of moving house. We've moved house twice in the last 18 months, and also in that 18-month period I've been made redundant, and I have had a diagnosis of lung cancer. So being made redundant is a big shock in your life, because you never think your source of income is going to disappear, and you have to think differently about your life and the things that you want to do, and the things that you want to own, and the things that you want to buy, and the places you want to be, and how you're going to make all of that happen. So being made redundant at the beginning of all this was a bit of a shock. A bit like the 7 stages of grief, where you kind of first, you know, are in denial. I mean, I'd worked for a big pharma company for 20 years, nearly 20 years. And when they say, well, I mean, and they reorganise stuff all the time, right? So you're always expecting the next reorganisation to happen, but for 20 years I've managed to kind of fly under the radar and not get cut, or move to a different department, or I had a great boss, or something good happened, but I stayed there for 20 years. But eventually they served me with a redundancy, and you know, your first thought is, I cannot believe this is happening. So you go into denial. That was the first couple of months of that. I mean, I worked through my notice, so although I was made redundant, I was still actually working for several months. But then a couple of months after being made redundant, I had my first lung cancer screening scan, and I've been a smoker for at least 45 years, mate. You know, I've been a smoker since I was a teenager. So, you know, you enter these lung screening programs thinking, well, of course it's never going to be me. To have my first scan, and on the scan they found what they said was a lung nodule. And they said, oh, well, we just have to watch it. Lots of people have nodules, and they're not necessarily a problem. We just have to watch it. So a year later, and so this is a year after the first scan, and about 14 months after being told of redundancy, and therefore about 5 months after actually working my last day, I went for my second scan, and they said, your nodule has got bigger, and we don't like nodules that have got bigger, So we are going to send you for a biopsy to see if your nodule is not only bigger but not very nice and malignant. Now, because you can see me, you can see and hear me, obviously, you can see that I've got limited mouth opening, which is another story entirely, which we'll come to in another chapter if you decide you want to join us on this journey. But I've got limited mouth open, which means that when I have an anaesthetic for either a operation, or in this case for a tube that they needed to put down into my lungs to get the lung biopsy, it's on the left, we needed to do a bit of investigation to see whether they could actually do it. So the whole process of what's called a navigational bronchoscopy for the biopsy took 2 goes. One go was investigating, and then another go was actually doing it. Unfortunately, they could actually do it. There is a slight complication that I'll tell you about again another time. Anyway, in they went, they did the biopsy. Within 2 weeks, as within the UK cancer pathway, they came back and they said, yeah, it's malignant. You've got non-small cell lung cancer in your lung. It's not a huge nodule or tumour, but we think that the best option is to take it out. And to take it out, we take out a lobe of your lung. Now, the way they describe it is your left and your right lung together make up 19 parts, like orange segments. And out of those, they wanted to take 3 off the top of the left. So they've taken, 1/6 of my total lung capacity for now, because they take the bit with the tumour in it, and the bit with the that's next to it, and the bit that's next to that. And while they're there, they have a look at all of the lymph nodes that drains into, to see whether the cancer's gone. And you just heard me taking quite a big deep breath there. I'm now nearly 3 weeks after having. Am I nearly 3 weeks? Oh, I can't remember. 1 week was in hospital, 1 week was at home. Yeah, so I'm now nearly 3 weeks after having quite a large section of my lung removed, and I know that it's gone, but I can generally catch my breath. I have to take it easy still, but I'm getting better every day. I'm still very tired, and still need to be careful with how much exercise I do. But I can definitely get my breath, and I'm not suffering hugely with any shortness of breath. So it's all good. Anyway, they went and they did the navigational bronchoscopy.
Really all good. We haven't had the prognosis.
And we went in and we had the biopsy. They took the lung out, and we actually find out next week, in about 5 days, what the pathology says about whether the cancer has gone elsewhere in my body, or whether they've managed to hopefully get everything out in the operation. But we'll find that out next Wednesday, so about 5 days from now. So between now and then, I'll probably bore you with some other things. But if you want to find out more about what happens next, join us in the future. If you want to find out more about what's happened in the past, you can also join us in the future, kind of back to the future. See you then. Take care. Bye.